We'll talk to Allison here in Austin. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing pretty well.
So I'm a new atheist. I used to be a Methodist, and about a year ago I looked at all the evidence, became an atheist.
Congratulations. Sparkly new.
Excuse me?
Sparkly new.
Sparkling new, exactly. And my sister is actually an atheist as well, more agnostic. And she's about to have her first baby, and we were wondering, we were pondering if we should, we're not going to raise her in the church, and we were wondering, how do you keep religion out of explaining to a child that death is okay?
So I'll let Don chime in on this in half a second here. I think religion has poisoned all discussions about death and life and the relation between the two, and have built up a kind of theater of bad expectations that, in an attempt to make things easier, actually make it worse. By this idea that, I've been in an estranged relationship with one of my parents, and now they've died. But it's not over. I'll get a chance to, meet them again and talk in heaven and make amends, assuming, that we're all going to the same place. What it does is I think this attempt to get rid of our grief is a bad idea, because the grief process and coping with a loss is something real. Funerals are not for the dead. Funerals are for the living that knew the dead. This is, some people will throw funerals and have a party and stuff like that. I don't care what you do with me after I'm dead. Do whatever you need to do to get on with life and kind of, not be mired in a sense of loss. But if we were to teach people from the beginning, not that there is an afterlife or that somebody on high is watching and you'll have a chance to make amends. But as far as we know, we're all going to get one shot at life. We have no idea how long it's going to be. We don't know when the end is coming. And that, given this scenario, the best thing we can do is live the best life we can and cherish the people that we cherish. And when they're lost, that it is okay to be sad. You've lost something. And that the good times that you've had with them are not necessarily going to outweigh the loss, but they can kind of diminish some of that loss. Last time I talked about this, I talked to a little girl, or I talked to her father, she was there in the room, about, if you go to a party, the party's going to end at some point. You also know that maybe you're going to have to leave the party before it's actually over, something Christopher Hitchens referenced, which I thought was beautiful. If you spend the entire party anxious over when you're going to have to leave or when the party's going to be over, you're not going to enjoy the party as much as if you recognize this party's going to end at some unknown moment for me, and the best thing I can do is enjoy it and have the best party that I can.
Yeah, that's actually really beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I would add, kids often get very wrapped around the axle about death, at a particular age. And I think part of it is they might be experiencing a loss of a pet, or grandma might be dying, or that sort of thing. And they might be very afraid of what that means. And I think the thing to do is to reassure the child that it's part of life, and as you say, Matt, you're best to make the most of what time you have, because your time may be short, and you're not going to be tortured or feeling pain afterwards. It's just you're going to be gone, and you'll live on in the memories of the people you've touched.
I think later on, as they come to grips with it more, you can begin to talk about how in some instances death is a gift.
Yes.
That people, there are people whose life experience is so mired in pain and anguish that death could in fact be a gift, which is why I'm absolutely supportive of death with dignity and other causes like that. The party analogy I like because they get it, because they're going to go to birthday parties. And it also lets you teach another point. There are people who are afraid that without the idea of an afterlife, this idea of let's enjoy the party necessarily devolves into hedonism of, oh, screw everybody else, I'm going to do what's right for me. And the party allows you to point out that you should enjoy it. And one of the things that you should work to do is not ruin the party while you're there. Because if you are at the party and you decide to start throwing things around the room because that's what you feel like doing, you're going to be asked to leave and your party is over. And that there are other people at the party who want to have a good time too, and it's much better for us to work together to have a shared pleasant experience than it is for us to sit there and argue, because that ruins the party as well. But
amen.
Yeah, it's just been really difficult for us to conceptualize, coming from a theist background, exactly how to explain it to a kid in a way that isn't just like, it's over, it's done with, it's sad, but get over it, essentially, is what we're having trouble with.
This is part and parcel of, I think, being a non-theist is dealing with the reality as it is, and maybe there's a better version of a fairy tale out there that would be a more candy-coated version of what you'd like to have happen, but I guess if we have beliefs, it's that we want to understand the world as it is and take it as it is, and good and bad, and sometimes there's bad, and sometimes death can be good if somebody's really suffering. It's just part of the party, like.
Yeah.
One of the nice things that it's not just when you lose someone that you care about. You have suffered a loss. What you're regretting is that you're not going to have more time for them to influence your life, looking at how they've already influenced your life. How, if you surround yourself with people who make you a better person, who educate you about certain things, who give you a new perspective on things, who are there to kind of help be your checks and balances when you, as a fallible human being, would have made a horrible mistake. It is a loss that they're not going to be able to do this anymore, but I'm grateful for the people who have filled that role while they were there. I have only one grandparent still living, and the others who have died, my family think that they're in heaven and they'll see him again. I can't say that that's not true. I just don't happen to believe it. But I'm grateful for the impact that they had on my life prior to that. I'm sad that, I get to go home for Christmas and I'm only going to get to see one of them, but I'm happy that I at least still get to see one of them and interact for a little while longer. And while I miss the others, the impact they had on my life and helping to form who I am, that's valuable, and it takes some effort to be okay with that. But I think the biggest reason people have problems being okay with it is because religions have absolutely poisoned the way we think about it. And if instead we begin with a child who's been raised to look at this in a much more, rational, secular fashion, I think that grief may for many people be more manageable.
Right.
But everybody's different. So.
And religions play on the fear thing, and that's just really brutal, especially I think for kids. The lesson becomes, if you're not right with God, you're going to be tortured, when you die, and you're going to go to a bad place, and these sorts of things, and that's just horrible. It's a horrible thing for anybody, I think, is to get that sort of moral lesson. It's much better to say, well, you're going to end, and you're not going to feel any pain. But
I don't think any of my grandparents are in heaven, but I also don't think any of them are in hell. And as we're talking about a Christian detector today, my grandparents were all identified as Christian, but they had different beliefs, and everybody wants to go to. How many times have we been to a funeral where the religious officiant says, well, it really sucks, but this person's burning forever in hell, and I mean, they just don't say that. The default presumption that they do for everybody, even though they know from their own doctrine that it can't possibly be true, is that they either talk about they are in heaven, or we can hope that they will be in heaven, you know, and we'll use the hope thing instead of saying, you know, this person was a complete piece of crap who rejected the church and is now going to burn forever in hell. The only people doing that are Westboro Baptist Church.
Yep, and I definitely am glad I don't identify with them anymore. So,
so thanks so much for calling. I appreciate it, and you know, good luck with that. And they're all, by the way, they're also really good secular parenting books. I know Dale McGowan has written one or two of them, so you can.
And there's a website.
You can look that up. There's a number of different websites. Dale's a great guy and has a lot of good information on raising kids without religious dogma and imagery. And
so good luck
All
in
right.
your adventure. Sounds wonderful.
Thank you. Hopefully, I can make it to a meeting. I live in the Austin area. So.
Great. Well,
we'd
we'd
love to
have
see you. Which, by the way, I'll do a reminder as we let her go, and we can go ahead and queue up Ludwig in Sweden. After the show's over, some of the folks get involved in the show get together and are going to Threadgills on Lamar, the original one, the one where Janis Joplin actually worked years and years and years ago. We're over here in about 15 minutes, give or take, and I would expect folks to start arriving over there a little after 6. Any atheist or atheist-friendly people are welcome to come over and meet folks. I won't actually be there today, but there will be the folks behind the scenes. Some of them will be there.
We've got
so
a
that's good.
halfway decent audience here today. So
Yeah.
great.